Oh, why hello there. I totally did not see you there at all. But thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. We're going to be talking a lot about how to turbo your new Edge and what it takes to build one as well. When I say build one, I'm talking literally everything, like putting in new pistons and rods, degreening the cam. See what number we get there. Okay, so building the rear end.
Alright, this side is good. Here, roll it up. Aquí, para ponerlo aquí. Y ahorita vamos a quitar el gato de...
There. 20, like 25, 28 inch-pounds. This is where it starts moving. Pretty much everything. It's gonna be a little hard to get this video started since there's just so much to talk about. I'm gonna be talking about the entire process, okay? And how I got here, why I wanted to do this, and how you can do the same thing. I have yet to see a video like this on YouTube. I wanna show you everything that I have recorded. I'll try to make it very entertaining. I don't know if it's gonna be all in one video or if there's gonna be like 3 separate parts. I have time to figure that out. Let's make one thing very clear here. We do not promote any BS on this channel, okay? If you looked at my previous videos, everything is straight to the point and there's no stupid intros, there's no sponsorships. Everything is too legit to... Hell, I don't even run advertisements on this channel. You're welcome.
14, that's what I'm talking about. Yo, what's up, bro? Holla.
I'm hoping that I can share a lot of good knowledge and wisdom to you all because there is so many people that have hit my inbox talking about, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I love giving out advice. I really do. But sometimes you need a visual. And that's why I want to push this video out, so I can show you everything. Now, I don't have every single second of work that was done to this car on camera, but best believe I will try my best to dig up everything that I have. It's been about 2 years that I've been trying to make this video, and here I am finally making it. So, hope you enjoy. But behind me, I haven't even showed you yet, but behind me is my 800 horsepower Mustang GT. 2002, yes, it's got, well, it doesn't exactly have the original 4.6 in it. There's a lot of story behind this car. Let's just say the car has a junkyard motor. Everything from the block to the heads. You're probably like, okay, let's go. All right, I'll show you. Just so you can understand why this is so special. Look at that. We got the sticky Hoosier CO7 in the rear. Oh, and look at this. We got the sticky on deck, baby. No automatics, because we keep it gangster up in here. Just a little peek right now. I'll get a little more in depth on everything that's done to it, but that's what we're working with, all right? So if you haven't seen me already on YouTube, you've probably seen this car behind me. This is my 2001 Mustang GT. It's NA. It's only got... it's not boosted or anything like that. And I don't have the keys. What the hell? It's locked. Definitely don't mind the duct tape on the seat. You know, these ripped over time. And this is also a sticky baby. So we're going to pop the hood. It's got a wideband since it's cammed. If you haven't seen me on YouTube, then you've seen this car at least. If you've looked up like any sort of street racing videos with the 2-valve. full bolt-on cams. Everyone has their own definition on what it is to be full bolt-on. This car's pretty much got everything except heads. That's way out of my price range. But this car has really surprised a lot of people on the street for being 300 to the wheels in terms of the horsepower. And yeah, this car was all done here in this garage. It's got 373 gears in the rear end. Just rebuilt the differential the other day with new clutch packs. But like I said, 800 horsepower Mustang GT, it's got all the bells and whistles, okay? It's got the custom cams by Todd Warren that I degreed myself. It's got all new pistons and rods and bearings and everything, dude. It's got dual Walbro 465 pumps because I'm running E85. I actually bought the kit from Lethal Performance just because this car is actually on a return style fuel system as well. And it's practically got a whole drag suspension too. I know that's what a lot of people lack on. They'll build a high horsepower car and a completely bone stock suspension. I never understood that. Oh, but I have Cobra brakes. Like, that doesn't matter. Focus on safety first rather than adding power to the engine. And the best part is that everything was done here in this garage. But before we keep going on, you need to understand why I wanted to do this in the first place and how I even got here. Because I'm 24 years old. I'm not balling, okay? I'm balling on the budget. But everything that went into this car is all quality. Like, I didn't skimp on anything within my means. So like I said, you know, car right here, bone stock when I had the idea of toying around with it. And eventually it just became a souped up street car. It's not the fastest thing in the world. This is my daily driver. I put some snow tires on it recently. So obviously you can't really do any launches, but I'm pretty good at slipping the clutch either way. I'm just really thankful that I had my dad and my brother help me out for pretty much everything because it's way too much time, way too much labor, and we are not professionals on this channel. We tried to... You hear that? It's like a Corvette probably. Nice. We try to do professional work, but at the end of the day, we're just people who want to go fast. We know a thing or two about cars, and building something fast was always in the back of our heads because if we could build a car like this, put in the gears in the rear end ourselves and take the transmission out, put a new clutch and all that, put in new cams, then we can pretty much do everything else, right? I once had a teacher who told me, if you want to do it, you can do it. Don't let no one kill your dreams. So fast forward, the idea of boosting another Mustang was always in the back of my head. And that's exactly what I have in front of me. And it's a blessing. It's truly a blessing. I want you all to have the same thing so you can experience it, so you can feel it, so you can inspire everyone else who wants to do the exact same thing. And that's why I'm making this video, so you can do it too. And it's kind of funny. I was looking at new edges within the $4,000 or $5,000 price range, and it took me probably a year and a half to find one that was half decent. It's like, damn, dude. Everyone wants to sell you a new edge with mixed match colored doors or bumpers and some whack ass wheels and shitty coilovers, and they want $6,000 or $7,000 for the thing, and it's got 160,000 miles on it. That's ridiculous. I live in Wisconsin, so Mustangs are pretty scarce. I can't find a 99 Cobra with 8,000 miles for $4,000 like some people managed to do. What? But yeah, I started buying parts for this car 2 years before I even had it. That should tell you a lot about how much it costs to build a car like this. And we'll get into that, okay? We'll get into that. I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's a convertible. You should have gotten a hardtop.
You think you hard? Wanna talk shit?
Shut the fuck up, nigga.
Yes, I know. I would have gotten a hardtop if I really wanted to. But I didn't. I originally had the idea to get a coupe because they're like 200 pounds lighter. They're more structurally rigid. When I was telling my dad about how I was going to buy another car, I told him I want to get a coupe instead. He was like, why not get another convertible? So that's why I got 2 convertibles now, baby. Drop top. Okay, we're getting closer, I promise. One day in April of 2023, I found the car that I knew was going to be mine. But it was a really sketchy sale. The seller wasn't really the most honest. He lied about a few things, but it's okay, you know. It was a bone stock car. There was literally nothing done to it other than a muffler delete. And I was like, hell yeah. For $4,000, can't really beat it, right? It had a misfire, and the car had 234,000 miles on it. And the motor, like I said in the beginning, the motor is from a junkyard. It's from 2003 Grand Marquis, I believe. And he had the paperwork and everything to back it up. But it was just a really sketchy sale. But I was like, okay, it's now or never. I got to buy this car, and this is the best deal I'm going to get. Bought the car, took it home with its issues. Yeah, and it kind of sucks. The top was leaking, and the owner, he was not honest about it. So, like you see right here, the brand new top, okay? It's a Robbins top. That was also done here in this garage. I would not recommend doing a top yourself, but it'll probably save you like $2,000 because it is not an easy job. You gotta staple it right, and you gotta stretch it just perfect. And in the end, it came out great. Robin's top, I bought for like $450 on sale. I'm gonna roll the clips where I'm frustrated trying to fix the leaky top with gasket maker and caulk. No. What the fuck? Bro, why is it leaking? Leaking from there. And from there. Fucking bitch. Yep. So like I said, 234,000 original miles on this car. That is a lot. But the engine had like 120,000 or something like that. And when I took it apart, it honestly looked pretty good. And here's the funny thing. The transmission, no pop-outs, no grinds. It shifts like a dream. Like seriously, I was really 234,000 miles. Are you kidding me? That right there tells me that the owner was like really babying it. I don't know what happened with the engine. They said that it just stopped working one day. I really highly doubt that. You either had no oil in it or you let it overheat to the extreme. That's really the only way these engines will die. So the car had a misfire. I was like, damn, it could be anything. It could be a valve that's not sealing all the way. It could be something as simple as a spark plug or a coil pack. Who knows? I ended up replacing the coil packs with ones that I got from the junkyard. Tested them out before I put them on the car. Boom. No more misfire, but I still had a misfire. So if you don't know, Ford makes the parameters for the misfires on these cars very wide. So even if you do have a misfire, a very slight one isn't quite enough to trigger a check engine light unless the car feels like it's running on 3 cylinders, being a V8. Putting the top on was definitely hard, like I mentioned, and it's a 2-piece top. That's the exact same thing you get from the factory. Glass, baby, a glass rear window. Who the hell wants a plastic window? This isn't a Miata. We don't care about the 1-piece convertible. We want the OG. And I gotta give a shout out to this Mexican dude on YouTube who has very clear tutorials on how to replace a top on this car. Like, he literally shows you every second of the way. And I'm thankful because of him. Me and my dad, we were able to put the top on this car. So even though there was a slight misfire, I mean, the car rode great for how old it was, for how many miles it had. There was no issues with any suspension parts. The brakes were brand new. It took me to school just fine. I literally daily drove this car for about 6 months to college. 0 issues at all. And oh yeah, get this. This car, when I bought it, it looked decent. It was a bit dusty, but it looked decent. You couldn't really see any deep scratches or paint chips or anything like that. You can't exactly see it, but the paintwork wasn't in the best shape. Not even a polish yet, just compound. I really didn't care about the car looking pretty from the outside. My whole focus was just having a fast car, really. It's like when you see one of those sleeper builds and the car will have mixed match doors or a bunch of rust and it just doesn't look pretty. Kind of the same deal with this car. I did my very best to detail it. Detailing is fun. It's nice to see results in the car. Okay, here's where we get to the actual build portion of it. We did things in stages. I wanted to rebuild the entire rear axle first because if I'm gonna be having a loud car with one of these bad boys, a bumper exit exhaust, I'm not gonna be able to hear anything. But you'd be surprised, it's really not that loud on the street, because the turbo acts as a muffler with all the bearings inside of it. And I wanted to do something practical for the street. I didn't want to weld my differential or go with the spool or anything like that. So the rear end, it has 355 gears with the Eaton Detroit True Track carrier. What is that exactly? Well, it's a limited slip differential that's helical. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's helical driven, so there's no clutch packs, there's no spider gears. It's just 2 big gears that are doing the work the entire time. And it's durable. They're great for street setups and they can handle some pretty serious power. And if we're going to be pushing serious power, we got to have forged axles. So put in 31 spline forged axles. Awesome. The axles actually came with extended wheel studs because I bought them used. So this is how it looks with the stock wheel. And with those extended studs, definitely sticks out a good amount, but it doesn't bother me. Kind of looks cool. But when I have the actual slick on there, it's no big deal. It looks fine because I mean, this is just like so deep in there. Look at that. Boom. So it's like, okay, whoever had this setup before me was really doing a race car build. But yeah, the dude who I bought it from, he's a real estate agent with the LS swapped Mustang. And of course, all the bearings in the rear end are new, right? You know, you'd be a fool to not do everything when the thing has 234,000 miles on it. And like I said, we are not professionals here. And I was scared of getting gear whine, but luckily, it's whisper silent.
super quiet. Fourth gear, can't hear nothing.
Maybe it's because I didn't go with 373 gears and instead I went with 355s, or maybe I just did a perfect install. I don't know. The thought of putting in 373 gears in this car, because the turbo I'm running right now is a little laggy, and I feel like if I want to do any roll races, it would be beneficial to add in 373 gears, because at the end of the day, I do have a 28-inch tire. You see that? 28 inches. I'm going to school you on tire diameters and gearing ratios. So we are literally in a school right now. I told you I was going to school you on gearing ratios and tire diameters, but this goes pretty in depth. So let me give you a few basic examples. Say we have my car. Let's try to draw that out for you. Let's just draw two cars since we're here. This is a great example. The first car is the exact same way my car is set up right now, with a big 28-inch tire, okay? The fronts are still like stock. And then we have a car with the stock diameter, which is 25.7 inches. Say the car on the bottom has 373 gears in the rear axle. The car on top has 355 gears, but this has a 28-inch tire. And then this one, it's a stock diameter, 25.7 inches. So what's happening here is that because you have a taller diameter tire, or, you know, let's say you have a wider tire too, and a 17-inch wheel, that can also change the diameter and the height. It kind of all depends what your setup is, but I like to use this classic example of a 28-inch tire because that's effectively going to bring the gearing ratio much more down. So with the 28-inch tire, the car thinks that there's actually stock gears in the rear axle. So this is actually what you feel in the car, which makes sense. Now, if you go with the tried and true setup, or even a 26-inch tire for that matter, let's try a 26-inch, even if it's 26.1, you're still gonna be within this 373 gear range. Now, these two, as long as you stay with this, you have a true 373 gear. Now, if you go with the 26-inch tire, because you wanna, you know, launch hard on the street and whatnot, then your gearing ratio is probably going to be like a 367, 368, something along those lines. And you're not really going to feel that unless you're really trying to pay attention to it. But that's kind of the key thing here. There's less to drive on the rear axle than there is on top. Maybe you didn't understand me the first time. Let's go with another example. Let's go with another 28-inch tire setup. This time, this car has 410 gears. But let's say this is a car that you're just purely gonna street race and you wanna be in the power band at the same time. This is actually a really good setup because let's say you're making 500 horsepower with the turbo. Your gearing ratio is gonna be like a 373 in the end. And that's pretty damn good. That's gonna make for a really zippy car. But let's say you have a track car that revs all the way to 8,500 RPMs. And then this one's just like 7,000, if that's a 7. You still have a 28-inch tire because you gotta plant that power to the ground and you're running a skinny in the front. This time, this car has a 430, or if you want to go crazy with it, even a 456 gearing ratio. But let's just go with the 430. Your gearing ratio after this, it might be like a 390, something along those lines. But the nice thing is, if this is a full-blown track car, then what's going to happen, so say this car's a 5-speed. And obviously 5th gear is really slow, so it technically only has 4 usable gears at the drag strip. Well, say this is the end point of the drag strip, and then this is where you're at. You basically want it to be where you top out on your speed right towards the end. That's ideal for if you want to get the best times possible. But if it's a street car, none of that really matters. Just have your car geared for you to be in the power band you want. Let's say your turbo, let's say you have a turbo car, okay? And it kicks in at 5,000 RPMs full boost, and you made the car for 7,000. You want it to be where anytime you shift at red line or at the rev limiter, you want it to be where your RPMs, they drop towards the middle or right there where the full spool begins. You don't want to be down here because then it's going to be a slow ass car. And if you couldn't already tell, my slicks rubbed pretty damn hard when I first got them. And I've since learned that it is important, if I can get a good angle, to roll your fenders. Okay, so we are inside of the driver's side rear fender. Look at that. That is what a rolled fender looks like. And it's not perfect, but it's definitely much more better than what I started with from the factory. The fender is like right here. So what you do is you try to bend that inner lip as much as you can to the top. If you want to do what I did, I kind of did a mix of everything. I hammered it down in the end. That's going to be your best solution. Just don't hammer it straight on, because then it's going to have like a weird indentation and it's going to be impossible to take it out without a bunch of manpower. So if you do take a hammer to it, you want to just like hammer it upwards, not straight on or down, because it just doesn't make sense. Let me show you the other side. So the other side, here we go. Watch this. See that? Same deal. How about over here? Yep, there you go. Boom. So I'll kind of show you the little transition. That's how it is from the factory right there. And I slowly bring it in. And then it just gets more, it gets more and more flush. So. If you want to use the fancy fender rolling tool, be my guest. I didn't use that. And I see a lot of people still messing up this process using a professional tool. But, I mean, just work with what you got. Yeah, and the whole trick with the fender rolling is you have to get the fenders hot. Like, just take a heat gun and move it around and have it on the panel for a good 5 minutes. Because if you only do 30 seconds or a minute, it's just not going to be hot enough. And to ply it, it's not going to be pliable. And if it is, then it's going to take 1,000 times more effort than if it was just hot. That's the one thing a lot of folks forget, is that you need heat in order for the paint to not crack and for the fender to just move with ease. Now, you're probably still going to get some sort of paint cracking, but that's just the nature of it. Just get some touch-up paint, be done with that. After that, you already know what's coming. It was time to work on the engine. Finally, my favorite part. Since I was going to be replacing quite literally everything, I wanted the whole transmission, the K-member, the engine out all at once. It's a little tricky to do because you got to get the car pretty high up. Like, I'm talking really high. And it gets a little dangerous at that point because, you know, when you don't have an entire drivetrain in the car and you don't have a gas tank in there either, there's really nothing holding the car back from flipping over. And that almost happened to me. I was really scared, but I'm glad God was on my side. He was watching. He was like, I got you, bro. So taking everything out through the bottom of the car on jack stands is a little tricky. So I made these little 2x4 wheel cribs. I'll show you right here. It's gonna be a little hard to see it, but this is about a foot high. So me and my dad, we made 4 of these. We put 2 of them, or we put 1 on each side here and over there. And same deal for the back. We actually put it under the tire itself so that the car could be levitated a little bit. Since you can't do that with the front wheels if you're gonna be taking the whole K-member out. Highly recommend making 4 of those. I know some people will buy very high ton rated jack stands, like 6 ton, or I think there's 12 ton. I'm not even too sure. But the whole idea is you just want the car up really, really high.
Hit that, son.
Taking everything out the top would be a pain in the ass because you're not taking everything out at once anymore. You're taking the K-member out separately, and then you're muscling around trying to take the engine and transmission out. It's a whole mess. Just do it from the bottom. It's much easier. And boom! The entire engine, the entire transmission, and the K-member was out, finally. Now to dig into the engine, see what we find. Let's take the valve covers off. How do the cams look? They look pretty damn mint. How do the intake valves look? They also look pretty damn clean. This is what you call a junkyard motor from a 2003 Grand Marquis. Check this out. If you could even see that, not really, but the valve is squeaky clean. The cams look brand new. I am very shocked. The previous owner of the car said that the engine had about 100,000 miles, and I honestly do believe it now. But it's too soon. It's too soon to say. I still haven't looked at the cylinder walls. Pretty soon we will get there though. Look at that, squeaky clean. Shiny, bruh. Like, I barely saw any gunk on them. So that tells me whoever had this engine from the junkyard, from that 03 Grand Marquis, took care of it. And as I was taking the timing cover off, I did see that there was a broken guide, or I was like, okay, maybe my misfire was coming from that. Maybe there just wasn't enough tension on the chains, on the driver's side specifically. Then we dug in a little deeper. Took the heads off, like we saw the pistons, we saw how the bearings, they looked fine, but some of them were scratched up. But I mean, it's normal wear and tear for a junkyard engine, right? It's recording. You could get from this side if anything. Okay. Okay, it's good. There you go. That's the head. And put it on the ground. Oh, the valves look good. As I was saying, once we took the heads off, we did what I like to call the gas test. You guys are like, what does that mean? Let me school you some. If you have a sticky valve that's not sealing all the way when it should be, you're gonna be losing compression. And that's gonna cause a misfire. I'm pretty sure that's where my misfire came from, because what you do to do the gas test, you lay a cylinder head flat on the ground, you make sure that all the valves are closed and that the spark plugs are installed like they should be, right? And you fill each combustion chamber where the valves sit, the combustion chamber. You fill those up with gas to the tippy top, and then you just wait. There's multiple ways of doing this. You could add gas in there and take a compressor gun and just blow through the ports. If you see any bubbles, then God help you, because you're gonna have to either, if you want to do things fancy, take it to the machine shop, let them do everything. No, we do everything ourselves on this channel. We take the time to lap the valves. And like I said, there's two ways of doing this, and they both work. Whether you want to let the gas sit there for hours and see if anything leaks through, or if you see the valve guides or the intake ports or the exhaust ports, if you see any wetness in there, that's not good. That means something's leaking. But if you blow air into the ports while there's gas in there, it's gonna show you right away where the issue's coming from. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we found our issue. Now, let's strip the block down. So here I am cleaning the block. I probably sprayed and rinsed out the cylinder walls like 10 times before I actually physically touched them. I used a mix of a couple different chemicals. I used gas, I used brake cleaner, and I used simple green and acetone. So a little bit of everything. And going back to the gas test, you can try doing the cylinder head test with water, but water's not gonna leak out the same way gas will want to leak out. Same thing with brake cleaner. You could use gas or brake cleaner. They both work very well, but I like to use gas because it's cheap and it works. That's why I also use it to clean my block and literally everything else, because gas is a very good solvent. And so is brake cleaner and acetone. And if you've ever cleaned up an iron block, you know how rusty they can get. You know how ridiculous it can be to clean it up. I was like, okay, I am waiting for my pistons to arrive. It was supposed to get here within like 2 weeks, but it got delayed to like a month. I was like, damn. So I definitely had some time in my hands to paint the block and whatnot. And in between that, I was trying to find machine shops in my area. I live in Milwaukee, so it's a little hard to find reputable places. But there's this one place. It's called NVR Racing in Butler. If you live in the Milwaukee or West Dallas area, it's only like a 20-30 minute drive, so it's really not that far. So I called and I was like, hey, so I'm planning on building a 4.6 2-valve engine. It's a modular Ford. The dude who runs the place, named Scott, he was like, yeah, so we normally charge $300 and you would have to bring the entire rotating assembly. That means bringing in the pistons, the piston rings, the connecting rods, at least one bearing set, the flywheel, because it's a stick shift car, I don't know if I mentioned crankshaft already, but the crankshaft and the harmonic balancer, or, the crankshaft pulley. So I was like, okay, great. See you soon. Dropped off my stuff once I received my pistons in the mail, and I believe with these cars, they call it a neutral balance. It's much easier to work with. And this was the first time for me. I had never gotten engine balanced before, let alone took anything to a machine shop. At first, I called like 3 other places, and I was like, hey, yada, yada. And they're like, oh, it's going to take us at least 5 months because we're just so backed up. And I was like, okay, no, thank you. NVR Racing was like, all right, we can balance your stuff in 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, hell yeah, that's a much better time frame. And the reason why you balance a rotating assembly when you have different connecting rods, different pistons, all that good stuff, you just want your parts to live. If you're going to be pushing your car to 8,000 RPMs, you better make sure that thing doesn't want to just explode out of nowhere. Or the machinist at NVR Racing, because I asked them like, hey, what happens when you don't balance a rotating assembly? He's like, I'll be honest, sometimes you can get away with it, but most times you're going to feel a lot of vibration, a lot of shaking in the car. I myself have seen at the racetrack, racers will balance their engines and you'll see their windows doing this. I was like, damn, makes sense. So if you're going to be doing something like this, find a machine shop near you. You can't balance your own rotating assembly. You probably could, but I would get it done by a professional because building an engine is hard enough. It takes time. It takes blood, sweat, and tears. To do that over and over and over because you didn't do it right the first time just doesn't make any sense. But after that, it was just a waiting game. So I had time to clean up my timing cover, my gas tank, my block, everything. The block was the hardest part because of so much rust that's caked on there. I had to use a million different chemicals. I had to wire brush the thing 100 times by hand and with a drill and even with the die grinder. A die grinder helps tremendously because it spins at like 25,000 RPMs versus a drill, which is like a quarter of that. So I highly recommend a die grinder with wire wheel attachments if you are serious about this. I tried using something like aircraft remover. It wasn't really helping. So in addition to that, I set the block on fire. Well, my dad actually did that. And I was like, okay, that's pretty smart. Because what would happen was the rust, when you just soak it with so much stuff, especially the aircraft remover, and you light it on fire, the rust, it becomes pliable and it starts to just peel off. Everything else was a piece of cake. You're probably wondering what I painted my stuff with. I'll be honest with you, I was not really a fond believer of using spray paint on stuff like this. I'm scared that it's not gonna last. So there's this dude on YouTube who I actually took this advice from. His name is Uncle Tony's Garage. I recommend watching all of his engine building series videos. Super, super informative. We're talking about a dude with like 30, 40 years of experience. So everything he says is pretty legit. He used brush on paint. Just regular plain old Rust-Oleum that you buy at Home Depot or Menards or whatever. I'll put a picture on the screen of everything that I used. I'll show you videos as well. And check this out. Look, this is my toolbox. It's a little interesting. We got the Todd Warren cams, baby. That's my favorite one. Lethal Performance. Shout out to those guys. Super, super humorous folks, especially the Mustang King, Jared, the owner. But let me show you the brushes that I was using. I wasn't using no super expensive brushes. Literally bought these at Menards. I think they were like $1.50 each. I use these because I had a couple of foam ones, but the foam ones were kind of a hit or miss. Like for painting the block, you wouldn't get any sort of streaks whatsoever. But what would happen is when you would try to keep layering it, it would kind of absorb the paint that was underneath it. It's hard to explain. And with that clip I just showed you, you're probably like, okay, why are you taking a blowtorch to your parts? What does that do? That is a way of cleaning metal because it removes the moisture that's in there. You could spray it all you want with alcohol, brake cleaner, gas, and sand it down. There's probably going to be a little bit of moisture stuck in there. It really depends on the material. I like to do this for any single metal part that I've painted because you just see the moisture coming out in real time. And sure, some might argue, oh, that moisture you're seeing, it's being caused by the blowtorch. Yes and no. Just don't go too crazy with it. Clean it up with the torch, spray it with alcohol or acetone. I personally like acetone. That stuff is just crazy strong. And let it dry for a bit, paint it, done. Like seriously, I only paid $30 for this paint. It was 2 pints. One was Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer, and the other was just an aluminum enamel. $30 for 2 pints. Like, hell yeah. I know some folks will buy a pour 15 or this super expensive stuff for like triple the price. And it's like, dude, don't do that. The Rust-Oleum works just fine.
Ya nomás hacemos esto y ya. Ya mañana te pones a grabar la otra también.
Great. But they're all sold out.
Nope. Just booked a test drive.
Get pre-qualified. Shop within your budget at CarMax.
The reason why I'm praising Rust-Oleum so much is because I had an oil leak for the longest time ever, and I brake cleaned my timing cover at least 50 times by now, and it still looks pretty damn good. It's a little dirty. I haven't really had any time to clean anything in the engine, but this stuff is so like chemical resistant to gas, everything. And I kind of had this theme where everything is a shiny color, or to be more specific, an aluminum color, so basically silver, because I want to see where issues can be. I know a lot of folks will paint their engines black. It looks slick, looks cool, but I want to see if there's any sort of issue or any leaks. You guys are like, oh my god, dude, I don't care about the paint, get to the point. Okay, so I have this rule where I like to mod a car from the outside in. I'm not another one of those people who just throw power to the engine and literally everything else on the car is stock, from the shocks to the control arms, everything. Safety first, baby. With the factory K-member out of the car, my dad pointed out something pretty important. He's like, hey, look at all that rust. Look at those holes. I don't feel comfortable putting this tubular K-member back in there. I was like, yes, I agree. So my shock towers were fucked. Let's just say that. Not exactly from like here. Like right here, it's nice and solid. It's from underneath where it actually bolts up. And you can't really see it much. Yeah, you can't see anything. Right on the sides here too, where the shock tower, like where the bottom meets. This whole side was pretty rusted apart too. And we aren't professional welders on this channel. We have, I don't have it right here, but we have a cheap flux core welder from Harbor Freight. It gets the job done, but it's not perfect, but it's definitely something to work with. So I'll just roll the clip so you can see everything I'm talking about.
from my other job, but I'm a business owner too. Here at Once Upon a Farm, we chose the Capital One Venture X business card because it makes everything we do even more rewarding. With no preset spending limit, our purchasing power adapts to meet our business needs. And unlimited double miles on every for 1,300 airport lounges. The Capital One Venture X business card. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/VentureXBusiness.
As you saw, we went to town cutting new plates of sheet metal and even diamond plate. Cut out the shock towers, the most rusted parts out. And sure, right now the way it is, the rebuilt shock towers, it's not perfect, but it's definitely way more reinforced and way stronger than what it was before. That's just the issues with living in the Rust Belt. People like to make it seem so easy when it comes to working on cars. They'll be like, yeah, if you want to replace a control arm, it only takes 15 minutes from start to finish. Like, no, dude, I have a bolt that's basically welded on from all the rust. Now this 2-hour job is taking me 8 hours to do. And for the most part, where are you going to find a big bolt like this that's 10.9 grade? The junkyard. If you want to find good bolts, listen, go to the junkyard and just look on the floor and grab the ones that you think are going to fit your car. Because I've done that several times. This is my dad's advice. Go to the junkyard, look on the ground, you're going to find some bolts. I have a whole toolbox just full of bolts and nuts and washers I grab from the junkyard because all those bolts are OEM, right? I prefer OEM rather than some cheap Chinese garbage from a store locally. And even then, I don't know about you, but I've never had any luck getting like big bolts. Sure, I can find a bolt like this, 10.8 grade, but when I need something long like this and something that has a lot of threads, that's where it becomes a little tricky. And to order it online, to wait an entire week, it's just a waste of time. And plus, you buy 4 new control arm boards, you're paying like $100. That's ridiculous. 5-finger discount at the junkyard. Oh yeah. The car's also got subframe connectors. You probably can't even see that. The car is so low to the ground, but it's got subframe connectors from Maximum Motorsport. And I was a little surprised when I was putting them on the car. My dad pointed out, he's like, hey, they're crooked. I was like, what? Really, Maximum Motorsports? This was like a Friday afternoon batch, but it's okay. We made it work. We jacked the subframe connectors on the car, and it's kind of funky the way we did it, but we tried our best to like just steer the tubing to the left or right just to get it like as straight as possible, and it worked out fine. But yeah, highly recommend subframe connectors. They're the best things you can put on an older Mustang. It's for safety as well, and since I'm a convertible, it's literally mandatory. Finally, I get a call back from the machine shop. They're like, hey Angel, your stuff is ready whenever you want to come pick them up. I was like, okay, bet, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Come back home. Here's where we begin the assembly. So from here, I'm gonna make sure it doesn't hit the crank journal, but so far it looks pretty good. Sometimes it can get stuck when you're trying to tap it down, but I can feel it going down here, and it's going down nice and smooth. And she's good to go.